Hello there. Ian Kithcat here again, Flemington Hallside Parish Church YouTube channel, and this is Thought for the Day. One of the things you realise, you think, yeah, I could have thought that about you, Ian. One of the things you realise when you do a Thought for the Day every day, and then a service on Sunday, you kind of think, I wonder what my thought's going to be. You very quickly run out of thoughts, but you do. If you're watching TV or if you're reading stuff or you're online, various things kind of come at you. Think, oh, I hadn't thought of that. And this was something. This was in the Times on Monday, and I just thought I would share it with you because it made an awful lot of sense, and I just thought it was significant that a major national newspaper, when it comes to reflecting on how do you cope with lockdown, how do you cope when you've got nothing to do, once again, apologies to key workers who are running about like headless chickens, but if you've got a lot of time on your hands and you think, another day of just endless sunshine, how will I cope? This was the headline: How to Survive Lockdown by the Nuns Who Do It 24/7. This is really, really. I think it's significant they have chosen to do this, so maybe that's the difference. But in the past few weeks, have you been praying for divine intervention? Well, that could be rather fitting, because while life in lockdown may be a whole new experience for most of us, thank goodness, there is one section of the population who have lived this way for years. That's nuns. Sister Pat, 67, a member of the enclosed order of Poor Clares in Arundel in West Sussex. We don't leave the convent unless we absolutely have to. When I entered here in 1982, we didn't even go to the dentist or the doctor. They came to us. Now, we do go if we need to go, but that means a minimum of once every 6 months for a dental check. So they go out a minimum of twice a year. The other thing, we are also allowed to go for a walk on the South Downs once a month, but otherwise we stay within the confines of the house and the garden. And so the whole point of the article is that they're asking them, oh, Jings, you do this all the time. What's your advice? First of all, if you look it up, you can read it at your heart's content. There's 7 tips that they've got. I don't think I can go through all 7 today, but I might come back to it. It's first of all, it was just that sense of there are people who choose to live this way as a gift back to God. Think about that. This is enforced upon us, and so recognise the reason why the Times, I think quite rightly, goes to them is because they do this of their own accord. They choose to live this way. We haven't chosen this. This has been thrust upon us. But it's just interesting. Just a general comment before we come to the specifics. The article is very clear about the fact that this image that we have of people living in a kind of monastery or some cloistered existence, all kind of wafting around 6 inches off the floor in this kind of perennial beautifying and just this world of grace and unity where everyone smiles and people just are lovely to one another. They're really, really direct about the fact things will go wrong, people will fall out, folks say things they shouldn't say. It's like, these are nuns. No, the key point is they're human beings. So the first thing I would say, just before you get to what I'm going to read from the article, cut yourself some slack. This is not generally how the vast majority of people live. And as a consequence, if you do live as we are living presently under lockdown, it's kind of not the way we're meant to be. It may be just now, and maybe we can learn from people who live this way as an act of thanksgiving to God. But it's not the norm, and we shouldn't get uptight if we have problems. First, one that I'm coming to, it's again just helpfully direct. Some disagreements are inevitable. What makes for a happy convent is reconciliation. Reconciliation, not the expectation that everyone will be nice to one another all the time, every day, and words of peace and grace will just waft round the convent. No, what they're saying is people fall out because that's what people do. Forgiveness and listening to one another is what's required. Sister, I think it's Alared 76, a member of the Arundel community. You can't sweep things under the carpet. It's much better to have a row than to let things go underground. That's a nun speaking. It's much better to have a row. One of the things that you may be experiencing specifically because of the lockdown restrictions, the things that you have coped with, or the things that you've tried to cope with various family members, or significantly, some of the things that you recognise are in and of yourself problems or bad habits or things that you think, I wish that wasn't part of me. You can suppress it in the sense of, we'll deal with it sometime. Things swept under the carpet invariably leave a big lump in the carpet. You'll trip. You can't put things sweeping them under the carpet because it just makes for a very unsure footing when you're walking across the carpet. The advice from Sister Julian: sort things out before sunset. If you have words with somebody, have a conversation or send them a note before the end of the day. It's funny how the article specifically says, this is the advice from Sister Julian. If you recognise those words, or at least those sentiments, you'll recognise that they are not necessarily originally from Sister Julian. This is Ephesians chapter 4. Therefore, having put away all falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbour, for we are members one of another. We are together. And then again, there's this real, when you get people who suggest that Christianity is this kind of unreal thing, it's a very, this is verse 26. Be angry, but do not sin. In your anger, don't suppress the anger. Acknowledge and recognize the anger. But in your anger, don't then mitigate and justify your behavior on the basis of your anger. And then it says the famous lines, do not let the sun go down on your anger. Again, what I recognize as I read those particular passages is that you, as the article says, you have to be the one who makes the genuine attempt to say sorry. Sometimes you see a couple of sisters having a hug at the end of the cloister and you know that what they're doing is making up after an argument. I had a big row with another sister and I knew we couldn't go to Mass without making up. I said to her, I'm sorry I've upset you. And to my surprise, she said it wasn't you, it was me. I know she said Mass. They're Catholics. The thing is, they still manage to actually base what they're doing on Ephesians, and they still manage to quote scripture, and they still manage to actually apply it. Do this before the sun goes down, because each day will have its own set of... It's a theological term. And you have to deal with that each day. Because if you have an accumulated sweeping under the carpet process, it comes to the point where there's nothing else in the room apart from this carpet that just has this big mound under it. And this is where you recognise 1 Corinthians 13 is read at weddings. And it clearly has an application to a married couple. But it's not the point of married. The point of 1 Corinthians 13, point of that whole section, 12, 13 and 14, is how did folks in church get on with one another? And in this situation, how do folks who are all living under the one roof get on with one another? Love does not keep a record of wrongs. It airs grievances, not to stick it to somebody, but to recognise we need to get into the habit of saying sorry first. And as I say this and record this and recognise there's people watching this, I'm also thinking my wife might actually watch this. And she might be saying, it's a really good idea, Ian. Say sorry first. Get back to me when you're going to be the one that, how shall we say, does that. I'm married to somebody who's she gets annoyed with me. I've said she gets annoyed with me quite a lot. The fact is, in her annoyance, she is invariably the person who says sorry first. Don't say that with any particular, honour to me, because I am that kind of, I'm an introvert and I'm a passive aggressive. How do you know things are really, really bad in our house? There's silence. Sorry, for those of you who haven't got a good sense of hearing, there's silence. In other words, maybe the thing you have to recognise from this particular lockdown time is the practice that they've learned hundreds of years ago in convents. The fact that you have to be good at saying sorry. I don't think you say sorry for things you haven't done, but you can say sorry and mean it for the fact that you are genuinely sorry that the relationship is one where people are not happy. I can be sorry at the fact that I've offended my wife, even I might not necessarily agree with her. The fact is, I need to learn not only from the nuns, I need to learn from my wife. She's actually a much better practical Christian than I am, because she will say sorry. Who do you need to say sorry to just now? You might still disagree with them. It's not that the disagreement is sorted. It's you don't let it grip you and let the disagreement define the day. Who do you need to say sorry to before the sun goes down tonight? Because the advice that we need to follow is right there in Ephesians 4. The sunset is a crucial time. What needs to get done by you today? When you do it, what you will experience is not just a minister on a screen saying, go with God because I know God goes with you. When you do all this stuff, you feel God with you in a way that you wouldn't if you hadn't said sorry. Meantime, go with God, because I know God goes with you. Bye.